Hello everybody, what we're doing today, this is a spider plant. We are moving it. These were the babies back in, I think it was March or April. And we're moving them from half gallon to 1 gallon. This is a lot of the work that I do. This isn't all of them. I'm not going to be able to do all of them today, but this is quite a few of them. We'll also be working on ones that are in the 1 gallon. We're not going to be moving any to 3 gallon. And there you go. Here what we're doing is trimming. This one doesn't look to have too many leaves that are bad, but any bad leaves, now is the time to trim. Looks like we've got somebody here. Everybody feel free to chat in the chat below. So as you see, they're pretty root bound. Not as bad as they can be. I try to avoid, like a lot of times when you buy plants from the store, they're very, very root bound. And these will become that way too again. They'll get, even in the bigger pots, they'll get root bound. It'll take probably, I'd say 2 to 3 months. They'll probably need to be done again in spring. They grow fairly well. They grow fairly well through the winter. Yeah, feel free to ask any questions down in the chat. Let's see. Yeah, any leaf, like we're going through and taking any leaves that got issues. There's a perfect example. Yeah, any leaves that are not doing too good. The way you take off leaves like that, it stimulates the plant to grow. So it's going to help create new life. That and then moving them to a bigger pot. Looks like we got somebody. Joshua Ortiz. Hello, how you doing? I'm Jonathan. We are moving spider plants today. I also got some peace lilies I'm going to be working on. So when you move plants to the bigger pot, you end up with a lot of leftover pots. So each one of these is giving me a new pot. So I'm stacking them, and you'll see, I can show you in my different videos, you'll see a lot of that where you end up with stacks of pots everywhere. And then come springtime, that's what we're trying to get ready for, spring. So in the spring, actually the end of season and getting ready for winter and getting ready for spring, really all of that. Certain plants stop growing at a certain point, depending on the plant. You can even have season. There's some vegetables that even grow during winter. I'm not doing it right now. I don't have any crops for growing at the moment, but I gotta be ready for Gotta be ready for spring. Because that's when we'll start getting the peppers and the tomatoes and everything ready. Here in Florida, you can grow a little bit. Oh, there's Phoenix. Hello. Thank you, Phoenix. We got Phoenix. Okay. So now we need another pot. Hello, everybody. It looks like we got more people now. We are working on spider plants. That one had actually quite a few. We're taking off any bad leaves and we're moving them to bigger pots. Trimming, weeding, and anything we need to do. Also, I forgot to bring them out here, but I'm also planting. I got the bottom part of green onions. You can replant green onions. Celery. There's a couple plants you can do that with. My favorite flower? I don't know. The flowers on the ginger plant look pretty good this year. I don't know if I have a favorite flower. Roses are most people's favorite, but there's a lot of plants that have a flower that we don't ever think about. Like tomato plants have a flower. The papaya trees, they got flowers. So I think I like all flowers. You have 4 kids? Wow. Pop Smoke says, "What's up, broke man?" I don't know what that's referring to or why anyone would see that, but okay. The dirt is sticking to the inside here. This dirt is very wet. I wouldn't be surprised. I didn't see any worms, but this seems a lot like dirt that worms have been in a lot. Very much. That consistency. There we go. There's another one. Yeah, we're moving them from the half gallon to the gallon. Some of these are already in a gallon. I'm not moving any to 3 gallon at the moment because I don't want to sell them in a 3 gallon. Once they get into 3 gallon, they're better at making more spider plants. If you're familiar with spider plants, they'll send out runners, and those runners have new plants on them. or as we call babies. If you hear people call them babies, they'll send out runners. Some of these have white lines in them that are what's called variegated, like this guy here. So these are a little bit different. As you can see, they have that white on either side of them, both on this side and that side. Yeah, these are variegated, and the weeding is part of what we're doing at the moment. So pulling out any weeds. Okay, see that's a baby. That's a brand new one. Even in a 1 gallon, we've got some here. So we'll get him a little pot. That's a baby. That's a brand new plant. Yeah, that's the brand new plant. So yeah, anything. These don't look that bad. Oh, there's another baby. That one's teeny tiny. There you go. We trimmed that one. Added some dirt. Pulled some weeds. We're looking much better. Hope everybody's having a good Monday. This one had 2 in it. Don't look like they're doing too great, and a lot of weeds. This one had a lot of weeds. I think it was 2. It looks like maybe it was just 1. Some grass growing in there too. Yeah, so that one was not doing too good. That plant's almost good, bad enough not to even keep. Yeah. Is that John Wallace? I think that's John Wallace. Yep. Hello, John Wallace. I thought that was you. What's my favorite snack? I don't know. Probably, I don't have any right now, but I do make them. Probably boiled peanuts. I gotta say, is the best snack all around. I got chips right now. I got chip and dip. But yeah, probably the best by far is boiled peanuts. I know some states they don't even have them. but this is Florida. So you either know how to make them or you don't. What we're working on right now is spider plants. Removing the 1 gallon into, or the half gallons into 1 gallon. I got a few pieces that I'm working on that I'm about to plant. I need to remember to go inside and get those. I'm about to plant. I got green onion. The end grew. I put them in the refrigerator to keep them fresh before I plant them. Keeping things in the refrigerator like that will work. If there's something you don't like, if you want to plant the end of a pepper, you don't got the time, you put it in the refrigerator. It should last at least 2 weeks. But the end of the green onion has already started growing even in the refrigerator, which you should not do because refrigerator, hopefully I'll check it, it should be at least below 50 and should not be able to grow that cold. But the ends grew even in the refrigerator. There's another one. And once we get them roots, yeah, they're growing roots big time. Those green onions, and once you get the roots in the dirt, there's a lot of plants you can do that with. I've heard you can do that with lettuce. I've never done it with lettuce, where you plant the end and then it just makes a whole nother plant, and the green onion will just make more green onion from the roots. So if you cut, once that happens, you can come out to your plant and cut just the part you want, leave the roots in the ground. It'll just make more. It'll just continuously make more. Celery can do that, and as far, like I said, I've heard lettuce can do that. Before we even worry about continuing with these, we might switch to the piece so that make sure we have enough dirt. We got extra dirt if we need it. I had to get more dirt the other day to finish the cranberry hibiscus. If there's any questions about particular plants you have, and you can, to see the different plants I have, you can look, you can subscribe and look at my videos, because I've done arrowheads recently, cranberry hibiscus I got, bird of paradise. Here's another variegated one. This has got the white on one end, the white on either end. Any of these, as I go through these, you get these smaller pots. I said earlier, but you might find me repeating myself. For any new people on here, is we gotta get ready for spring. Part of getting ready for spring is all the trays and little pots and everything, and getting all that ready so that we have like, here's an example. This guy's got a lot of weeds. There is a plant there. Hold on. Let me show you. So There he is. So, yeah. I better pay attention to what the chat's saying. Yeah. Yeah, now he's got a new home. We're gonna move these. We're gonna move these out of the way for a minute. This is a peace lily. This is the one earlier I did a live for a minute. This plant was actually doing real bad. It's not doing too bad now. It got abandoned by somebody. It's very dry. So I watered it earlier and it's very dry again. If you got a plant that dry, watering it once may not be enough. Let's see who we got here. Oh, there's Kelly Belly. I know Kelly Belly. And we got Just Keena. I'm doing all right. I got these are peace lily. I was just doing I was just talking. I got some green onion I'm about to plant that just the end piece that still got the roots. When you use green onion, if you keep the roots, you can plant the roots and they'll make more green onion. And here we're pruning anything like that we don't want. I'm not moving these to a bigger pot. They don't need it. The bigger pot would be 10 gallon and it doesn't need a 10 gallon. The one thing that's very important about these though, if I see one, I'll show you. I'll probably, when I pull, I'm about to pull a whole plant out of here. When I pull a whole plant out, I'll show you. Because we're moving some of these to another pot. Let's see, do I have enough? I need enough room. Let's see. Yeah, we're about to pull a whole plant out of here, and then I'll be able to show you what I'm trying to show you about this. There's a lot of plants that have this characteristic that I'm about to show you. I think the arrowhead. When I did videos on the arrowhead, I think I covered this. But what happens is when you pull a whole plant out like this, like we're about to do, sometimes when they sell these, they put too many in here. This is a plant that can create more under the ground. That's how it propagates. And so it can make more under the ground. And any plant that can do that, you could end up with too many. But you want, when you grab them like I'm doing, you don't want to just yank because you'll break it, or you can break it. If you remember when I did videos on the bird of paradise, I broke a couple of those just pulling them out. Oh yeah, this needs, yeah, hold on. Do we even have a shovel spawner? I got a small shovel, but yeah, I need to get one of them. I have a small shovel, but it's still big, it's like a half shovel you would call it. And those little tiny shovels, I need something to reach down in there. I may have to come up with something that's not even a shovel. I'm trying to think what could do that. Water will help. Yeah, it had been abandoned and it was so dry. I watered the plants earlier, but this is still dry. If you can water it and it's still dry, yeah. I should have watered it again. Yeah, water will help with this kind of stuff. To do this kind of work without water is kind of crazy. If you follow Froggy, I don't know if I have her permission to link. I know that some people know how to link other people. If you follow Froggy, she keeps water with her when she does stuff like this, like in a little bottle, because she does stuff inside the house. Now I could use the water hose, but the water hose is way over there. Oh, gosh, these roots. Wow. Come on, buddy. You would think I was wrestling an animal. When you separate roots under the ground, this is called a root separation. If you hear the term root separation, you don't know what that is. It can also be called root clipping because it's a clipping that contains the roots rather than a stem clipping. Oh, God. Shit. No. Okay, we got roots. I thought I broke it. Okay, we got roots. The way it broke, I thought I completely killed the plant. So, but yeah, not only do we got roots, you see why it was so hard for me to do that. I was reaching in there and trying to pull out. Not only did it have roots, very good roots. Okay, and here's what I was trying to show you about. This is why I wanted to pull one out and show you. So this here, let me see if I can get one that's real good. Okay, so right along here, you'll see this right here. Looks like a double layer on that. That's a new leaf that's about to form. So we don't need to take this leaf off, but if we did, we would cut higher than right there. Because right there is where the new leaf is about to come out. So it's going to create a new leaf right there on that part of the plant. So when you trim, make sure to trim above that. And the arrowheads were the same way. I explained that in the arrowhead video. That a new leaf will come from that. There's a lot of plants like that. So if you see a new leaf, I'll show you another one in just a second, just to make sure I got it clear. But yeah, so when they sell these, sometimes when they sell things, there's like more than one plant in there. And people like that, of course, because it looks like fuller or better. But one plant should be able to fill a pot. You should not have to have a whole bunch of plants. And basically what's happening is their roots are competing. You got a whole bunch in the same pot. They're all trying to fight over resources. So if you have, there There's that new one right there. So now we'll go through and trim. So what I like to do a lot of times is, in this case, not only could it be sold to you that way, but it can also do that all by itself. It can make, because that's the way it propagates. That's the way it makes new plants. Is it makes new under the ground. It'll make new plants. And so you could end up with like 8 or 10 or something. Let's see if I get it over here. How many is actually in there? There's like 1, 2. It looks like 3 right now. It looks like there was 4. So by removing a couple of them, what you're doing, yeah, we'll probably remove 1. So basically by removing them, what you're doing is you're making more room, because essentially you want just one, and then of course it'll over time it'll make more, and that's okay. It can do that. It can make more. It's not a problem. But you end up with too many in here. So about once a year, I have to go through these kind of plants and remove some of them, so that they see. I'm gonna have the same hard time with this one, because these roots are serious. I'm trying not to break them. So that's the hard part. And you're trying not to break the other plants as well, because if they make new plants under the ground, they're all connected. So when you're yanking this out of here, you can break all of them because they're all connected. So, Jesus. I don't know if you could hear under the ground tearing sounds, but yeah, those are roots. I'm not tearing them, but I'm pulling them out, and that when I'm pulling them out, they're making like this kind of sound. Oh yeah, big roots, lots of roots. See, a plant like this needs its own pot. That's what I was trying to explain a minute ago. You got all this root, and they're pretty. They're doing really good. And if they're in a pot with other plants, they don't really have room to do what all they need to do. So we'll give them their own pot. And then we'll trim that one up. And then the big plant. For anybody who just joined, I think I saw Coffee. Hello, Coffee. For anyone who just joined, yeah, we're working on Peace Lily, and then we'll finish the rest of we were working on spider plants. And so this is the big one. And now it was like completely full. It's not as full as it was, because we removed 2 of them. So we'll finish trimming that one in just a second. But first, we'll finish trimming this one. This is the one I just pulled out. So this, that. Here we go. So there. And then we got another one of these bad boys, the big ones, and we'll be doing it as well. Same thing. Probably remove 2 from it and trim it back. This is kind of either once a year or every 3 to 6 months. It could be done every 3 months. You may not have to remove as many, but if you do this, you come about 3 months later, it's going to have created more plants. And they tend to like the winter here, even though they're a funny plant, because it says they're tropical, but they like our winter a lot better than they like our summer. Some people, I keep them partial shade. Some people actually consider them an indoor plant. So it doesn't make any sense to say it's indoor and it's tropical. And I've noticed they grow better in our winter. So I'm not really sure. I'm sure they are tropical. They seem that way, but they're not. they sure do like our winter, which is usually plants like some of your different herbs like lavender, things like roses. They like the herbs like basil. They like our winter better. So I hope everyone's having a good Monday. Let's see what the copy said. Hello. Hello, copy. This is another one of those. So then I'm going to grab, I still got 1, 2, 3, 4. I still got like 4 or 5 spider plants. And we're going to plant the green onion. Oh yeah, these come out a lot easier because the roots are not near as big. That other one, the plant was bigger, the roots were bigger. Yeah, this one not nearly as much. Probably gonna get more than. Might be able to do some half gallons because these are a little bit smaller. But we don't need. Yeah, probably do a few half gallons because these are small. But probably way more than 2 like we did on the other one. Because it was smaller, we'd probably do 4 to 6 of them. There we go. There's that brand new baby plant. Yeah, these are peace lily we're working on. And different plants have different ways of propagating or making new plants, and they're creating new plants under the ground. That's how they do it. Like this one, that one's so tiny it barely even got any roots, which is okay. It'll still survive. Its roots are fine. It's just a whole lot smaller than the other one. In fact, it's so small. I might put it in that pot. Technically too small of a pot, but it'll work for what we're doing right now. Some people would probably buy it that way too, being in a little pot. Yeah, this one I just took 2. It's got, let's see, 1, 2, 3. It's got more than the other one did. The other ones were bigger. This one's got, they're smaller and there's more of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I took up 2. So it's probably got like 8 or 9. Yeah. But I don't need them all. Probably maybe 2 more. Yeah, I don't need to take them all. Yeah, the other one was way harder to take out. These are not nearly as big, but those roots are bigger than the other 2 roots were. But yeah, when I buy plants from places, I do this. This one was just abandoned. But when it's got a whole bunch of plants growing in it, it's not good for the plants. They need more room for the roots. Not healthy at all. They should be able to have one plant. But some people like that because it looks bigger. It makes the plant look bigger to have a whole bunch in there. And it'll work for a while. You know, if you've got 4 or 5 in there, that'll work for a while. Some plants do that where if they make more, snake plants are that way too. Snake plants, they'll make more under the ground, and so you'll end up with like a whole bunch. Gingers that way. Banana trees, believe it or not, are that way. I don't like taking that many leaves off. This one only has one leaf left. That's not good. I'm thinking maybe this one. That one's, I think, much more connected to the main plant. It might be a little more difficult. Still not bad. Not as hard as those ones, though. I made chicken noodle soup earlier. I keep hearing people say they're not feeling well. A lot of people not feeling well. So if you're not feeling well, make sure to eat chicken noodle soup. Okay, so now we're back to the spider plants, and then I'll go grab those. I'll go grab those green onion. We'll be planting green onions here in just a second. As spring is when it's going to get really exciting for the different. Doing everything from green beans to I might do squash this year, and everything from green beans to peanuts, to you name it. What do you do? Probably a lot of habanero this year. Habanero, for whatever reason, grow better than I don't know if it's because it's hot here, but they grow better than a lot of the other peppers. Habaneros tend to grow well, so I'll probably focus on them this year. Yeah, so somebody just showed up in the chat. We were doing, these are spider plants. I was just doing some peace lilies. There's your spider plants. There was 2 in this one. Uh, you can start now. You can start like the last 2 weeks of September or now, because our winter is usually not that cold. But then in December and January, if it does get cold, then you could lose everything. So because our winter, you could. It all depends on what the winter is going to do. So you can act. I've done it before where you plant tomatoes now, and because it's warm enough for them to germinate. Germinate just means that's germinate means they'll sprout. They'll like the plant will actually sprout up out of the ground. And so you could germinate tomatoes and peppers and things and green beans now, but then if the winter is warm enough, what they'll do during winter is they'll stay dormant, and then they'll continue growing. They'll continue growing again in spring. Basically, like just kind of putting them in timeout, kind of. And but it all depends on whether then if we get hit with like 20 degrees, which is not normal, but if we get hit with 20 degrees like they do up north, then you could lose your brand new plants. So you can't wait till spring, and our spring comes early, so that's why you really don't have to worry about. Because the second half of February, sometimes that's a little too early. I had that problem last year, but the second half of February is our first spring. As soon as we get anything above 60, like if it's 50 to 70, we can grow. So as soon as you hit the second half of February, that's seeds. Now, if somebody tells you, they'll tell you, like if you Google it and you look it up or talk to people, they'll say, oh, it's just saying to plant it like in March or April. That's the actual plant. Like if you get a small pepper plant, you would plant that in March or April. But that's why with seeds you get. Now you can plant seeds in March. Yeah, that's fine. It's not a bad problem. It's just like a month later. It'll work. But you try to get as much of a jump start as you can, and you try to get them where they're going like every week or two, where they're like shifts or like when you're baking cookies, when you got like more than one. Oh, batch is the right word. Yeah, so like every week and a half or 2 weeks, you could plant more seeds, and then you'll just continuously have more plants popping up every week and a half or two. And then also they grow at different speeds. If you go to a plant store and buy pepper plants, they're all relatively the same, doing the same. But if you're growing them yourself, you'll realize that like if you have like let's say 30, like probably 10 of them are doing real good, 10 of them are real slow, and 10 of them are kind of slow, not as fast. Some of them are growing, better than others. They'll grow at different speeds. And so once they get taller, you can move them into the sunlight. And someone was asking me earlier if you talk to plants, if they like that. They actually really, really like it being in groups with better plants. So like if the tomato plants or pepper plants, if some of them are doing better, if you've got like 10 that are doing better, and then you got like 10 that are doing better now, and you move them with that other group, kind of reorganize and add them to the other 10, they'll be happy. They like when they graduate to then move them out into more sunlight. So now they got more sunlight, and with their buddies that are doing better. People will tell me I'm crazy saying they're social like that, but they are. They very much are. They're very happy to be with the other plants that are doing good. I don't know, because mine aren't in the same soil, so you would think it could be like affected badly if there's something wrong with the other plants. It doesn't seem to be that. It just seems to be kind of like that human thing where like if you're like when, if you graduate and you're with like the next grade, or if you're held back, kind of like that. That's how they act. Kind of graduating to the next plants. Okay, so we did all the spider plants and we did all the peace lilies. So now let me grab them green onions. Yeah, the onions, the green onions, I had them in the refrigerator, and they've been growing. They shouldn't be growing in the refrigerator. It should be too cold. So I'll check the refrigerator, but everything feels like the temperature, like the water feels like how cold you would want it to be. That this feels how cold. So I don't know how they're growing, but they grow roots. You put them in the refrigerator so they don't spoil. Some people leave them out on a windowsill, but they can go bad. They can rot. And so here's like the green onion will just grow past that original point where you cut it. So it's already been growing in a refrigerator, which should not be possible, but it is. So what we're gonna do, so what you can do once it starts growing again, it'll grow, like green onions do, and then you can cut the green onion part like you want to eat. You can cut it. And then and then as long as you're not messing with the part that's in the ground, it'll just keep making more green onion. Each one will just keep making more. I'm putting probably 3 or 4 of them together. Probably 3 or 4. You can smell it. Yeah, I keep things sometimes in the refrigerator, even scraps that I use for compost. That was something I don't talk about too much, but I may have brought it up before, so I might be repeating myself. But now's as good a time to any. See, this one's got really good roots. But now is as good as time to so yeah. Okay, so with compost, what I do is what you're gonna do is you're gonna put, like, if you got scraps of like celery, orange peel, and watermelon rind, and corn husks, and anything that's like biodegradable garbage, like food garbage they call it, things that's like you don't want it to rot. And I see so many people who they'll take like a little garbage can in the corner of their kitchen or up on windowsill, and they'll put scraps in it, and it'll rot. And if it rots, that's what you're using as your compost. So if you take a plastic bag or a Tupperware or something, I recommend a plastic bag. Put your scraps in that, like your watermelon rinds, and it should hold in the refrigerator for about 2 weeks, just in case you can't bury it right away. But basically, the idea, if you can bury it right away, like if you still got daylight, you bury in it before it rots, like when it's still preserved. And funny enough, I don't know the exact science behind this, but I'm sure there's people that know why. Here's a real crazy. This is the crazy part. Okay, so if you bury stuff that hasn't rotted yet, right? Like carrot peels and stuff like that, watermelon rind, carrot peels, the parts of the celery that you don't want, parts of lettuce you don't want. Now in this case, we're replanting the green onion, so we don't have to worry about compost in this case. But if I was using these as compost, okay, so you're burying the basically the food trash. You're gonna bury it before it rots. So you're gonna go out and dig a hole, and you're gonna put like let's say there was carrots that haven't gone bad, but you're not using them for anything, and you think they might go bad. So you're like, well, let's use these as compost. Okay, so when you go to the next week, let's say you're doing this every week. The next week, when you dig these up, this is what our green onion looks like. So the next week, when you go to dig up your compost to bury more, you'll find that those carrots have not rotted. Somehow the ground, I don't know if people ever store, like back in history before the refrigerator. I think the Inuits might have done that with whale meat. I don't know, but burying, because here it's hot, so it ain't like it's in the ice. But for some reason, and dogs will dig a hole because it's cooler down in the dirt. So I don't know if the dirt's cold enough to do this, but basically you're burying carrots and things before, and like the part of the celery you're not going to eat, or the corn cob husks, anything like that, watermelon rind, they'll before it rots, it'll actually preserve it in the ground. And I have no idea why, but it basically is acting like a refrigerator under the ground. And so each week when you dig it up, you'll see very slowly it's starting to decompose, but not like it's rotting. Like somehow the ground keeps it from rotting. And then eventually, like some people say it takes like 2 years or 6 years for things to decompose and use them as compost. That's 3 to 6 months. 3 to 6 months, what you're going to do at some point is stop. So, for example, if you start in July, and you do where every week you're burying stuff, and then you like stop. Let's see, what's July, August, September. Okay, so let's say you stop in like September or October, then October, November, December, January. Okay, so then in about January, you're not quite ready for spring yet, but yeah, basically it could take 6 months, but basically once you stop, you're going to stop before you actually end up using it. So there's a period of time where you don't keep putting it in the same pile. You're going to stop for 3 to 6 months. And so like 3 to 6 months, you're putting things, and then wait 3 to 6 months, and then you're ready you'll be able to tell by the look of it. But yeah, when I see people take things that they've let rot, like they'll let them rot in the house, they'll have a separate garbage can for like watermelon rinds and stuff, and they'll rot, and then they go to use it as compost or bury it or whatever. I'm like, no, you take it and bury it straight in the ground, or keep it in the refrigerator for a couple weeks. Basically, you don't want it to spoil or rot, and then you want to bury it like right away or as soon as you can, and then so many months later, you got compost. So yeah, I've seen people even make videos where they're taking, and you can tell it's raw. You can tell there's flies flying around and everything. They'll take rotted food garbage and use it to make compost and fertilizer. And I'm like, ugh. I think the sun might set soon. It's not dark yet. I don't even know what time it is. I think it's like 4 or 5. It's been getting dark earlier. I need to shave. Let me see if there's anything else. Got a glass table right here that I used to use where I used to live. This glass table should look great. Yep, these are the plants that I was just working on. Yeah, you can see that. And here I got the rest of the plants right here. It's going to take 2 loads. But I think that will end the live. I hope everybody has a good day. And thank you so much for being here.